Believe it or not, top-notch corporations spend so much money to have their people learn how to build a house. And the house that they have built looks like this. This is one critical moment that you are about to find out through this particular universal trainer, Nicholas Henley. Stay tuned.
What we can see, it takes time to ID talent, so just one or two is positive.
สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Critical Moment, a know-how show of successful living in Thailand and AEC. So, how often have you wondered whether your personality fit in with that of your peers or your significant others? Or why are you for all of a sudden not so motivated to work or stay around here in this charming place anymore? Well, all of the problems must have some solution. We're about to talk to a guru who will lead you the way. He has coached a lot of corporations around the world, and many of his attendees or participants have changed their life. A lot of them have stayed where they work and do better at what they do. And many of them have realized their very special talents. So I have to welcome a universal trainer, Nicholas Henley. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
Well, thank you for joining me in Critical Moment. How did you do what you do, motivating people and change their life?
Well, thank you also for having me here today. It's a great privilege and pleasure. I think the idea is that I motivate people.
Yes.
But it's never that easy. And sometimes I'm sure, people come to the training that I put on and they might think, at a certain stage, they might think, oh, how motivating is this?
Right?
Why? Because, I'm always trying to challenge them in a positive way. But it is like a journey. It's never a straight line. So I think some people think of the training I do and think, wow, there's going to be a magic wand going to be waved here.
That's right.
It doesn't quite work like that. I'm not one of these motivational speakers who makes everyone feel so good about themselves like this. So I'm trying to bring it out of themselves.
So you bring out what they lack and have them realize their own way.
Yes.
So why do people become motivated or dismotivated in the first place?
That's a great question. And it's a very complicated question. There are so many things impacting on us every day, all of us. And I think one of the key things in the workplace that people don't know about is the talent.
Okay, well, isn't talent something that we were born with and we just hone our talents throughout the years?
Well, I think most people would agree that we all have our own individual talents.
Like, for example, I have no talents. I cannot play piano or instruments.
That might be one talent you may not have, like musical talent, but you have many others, including being a talk show host.
Oh, well, thank
which you do really well, by the way.
Thank you. So,
but to come back to it, actually this is philosophical. The education system actually globally has a bias towards putting things into people.
Yes.
So they're trying to teach them more skills, more knowledge, etc. And I think people got terribly demotivated when they went through youth, doing classes again and again and again that they weren't good at, and worse than that, having the expectation to do well at something that they had no chance to be good at.
Right. For example, if I am lack in math skill and I am good with words with English, my parents would drive me crazy about tutoring in math, but not in English.
That's a great example. So that's called building on weaknesses.
That's right. And then what happened is, my English skill is not that good. My math skill is not going to be any better than it is. So I become a nobody.
And I think that's the essence of what really can motivate us. Because in that situation, if you could go back in time, and I'm sure this didn't happen with your parents, but that's a great example. Peter Drucker said that everyone has peaks and valleys. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and the well-rounded manager or professional is a myth. And what he
There's
was...
no well-rounded manager.
Well, it's really, I'm sure you can find some, but it's really, you know, very unlikely that people have multi-talent profile. Okay, so what we should be doing is to find out where is your strength, Kunal, okay? And we should be giving you more of the work based around your strengths and really just eliminating areas that are in your weaknesses. So we call this
you
red,
are
green and red.
positive focused
Right.
and willing to stay away from negativeness. That's what you work on people.
I think negativity is all around, but one area that happens a lot is when someone has expectations and it's in an area where someone is weak. And that will only bring stress and fear of failure and low self-esteem. And if that carries on, then the person is just going to feel really in the dumps and really demotivated. So what I like to do when I'm working with clients is to really identify people's strengths when we're working with them and try and build on that. I have a philosophy that may be relevant to your first question of how the universal trainer part. I believe it's not about talking the birds from the trees, it's about getting the birds in the trees and getting them to sing. That's my philosophy. So it's not about motivating, it's about finding out from them what's within them and bringing that out and giving them the opportunity to demonstrate that and then use that in their work.
So how do you force a bird to sing at the tree?
Now that's a good question. What happens if the bird doesn't want to sing?
That's right.
So I think then that really comes into design of training. So let's say someone has a strengths in one area and they're not using those strengths. So maybe it's because they've been demotivated for years.
So you have them realize their strengths.
Right.
By having them speak out, like, Kunik, look at me, I have this much strength. I can do this, I can do that. Come on, it's difficult to have people show off their strengths.
That's right. So what I need to do is to create an entire experience, okay? So that they forget themselves in a way. So it could be a challenge, a complete challenge in training. And it needs to be linked, obviously, to the training itself. So it's an activity, Gitagam, and you know, it includes music, it includes a theme, and it includes a challenge, often where they're interacting with everyone else. And then with all this going on, this experience going on, they forget these thoughts saying, hang on, if I speak out, especially in Thailand,
yes,
I'm gonna make someone look not so good, or maybe lose face or so on, or I'm gonna be the tall puppy and gonna get cut back.
That's right, you want to be humble about yourself. That's in the Thai society.
Right.
So how do you dishumble a person?
Well, in Thai society as well, as we know, right, which is why they love this talk shows like this. People love Sanuk.
Yes.
Right? So I use that energy that exists in Thai society, and universally, every culture has its own biases.
Yes.
And I try to discover that and use that as part of the training
so
that it disarms the negative, the fear. Okay?
Sanuk is to have fun.
Sanuk is to have fun.
So you have them have fun with whatever the gitagam or activities are, so that they will overcome their fear.
Right.
That's easy.
I call
but
that
it's hard.
It is hard, right? I call it the hijack.
Okay.
But it's basically, you know, this is typical example. When I start training, everyone's like this. They're frightened, they're nervous, frightened of making a mistake, frightened of making the wrong interaction socially. Okay, so the way I try to turn that round is by creating very early on an activity that is linked to what they're learning that just completely releases all that negative energy. So they just let go, and then when you get the Sanuk, then you can go back into serious. Okay, so this is a very simple way. Sanuk and serious in Thai, two different hemispheres of the brain. Okay, serious, you know, relating to problem solving, etc., etc. Sanuk, okay, what everyone likes to do. I use that energy, and then I go back to serious to deal with the problem solving, the learning, etc., the challenge, and then it flows very, very naturally indeed.
And how participative they are. How often do they play along with it? After you see your peer being laughed at, and you know that next time it'll be your turn, chances are that you probably would not want to be laughed at?
Well, you know, that's another scenario, I think,
Yeah.
that needs to be borne in mind. And I think anyone listening here to this interview who manages in organizations or works with ties,
Yeah.
I think this is really, really important. You've got to create a safe environment so that people can be laughed at and can laugh at themselves. Hopefully they laugh at themselves, okay? And how do we do that? There's one magic phrase, and this is something, you know, in Thai organizations, it doesn't happen enough. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. So by getting that message across early on, I think it helps people relax. And if it's reinforced, I think, you know, training room is like a simulator. So we want them to make mistakes so that they learn, and then so that they can then overcome those, face those, and then, you know, acquire the new skill or the new behavior that the company wants.
What positive reinforcement that was. Well, you have trained so many people around the world as well. You have recently been to Indonesia or Malaysia, some
Right.
kind of ASEAN society. You had trained them on what subject?
Oh, a range of subjects. So just to give listeners an idea of the training I do, I work in soft skill areas. So I don't train technical skills. So it includes talent and communication skills, leadership skills, teamwork, and customer experience. But say, for example, talent, identifying people's talent, to come back to the theme we were talking about earlier, really, really magical, right? That to see groups when they put up their green cards and their red cards.
What are greens for? What are red for?
So this is, green cards are your strengths, your, what Drucker was talking about, peaks and valleys, that's your peak.
Oh, okay. Green is for go.
Green is for go. So a strength might be, for example, quick fire problem solving, okay, which is very useful if you're a talk show host, for example, like really, really quick. And a red card might be, for example, structural problem solving, or it might be to do with musical, connecting at feeling level. Some managers have real difficulty connecting at feeling level. So we put these cards up, and the energy that gets, actually the response we get is fascinating, saying, hey, isn't your job required to deal with lots and lots of people? And they're sort of saying, and you know how it is in an organization when you're not really good at something, but you're frightened of saying it because you're frightened of getting fired, right? So this enables people to be honest at last.
That's right. So you allow them to open their mouths and make mistakes so that they can learn from it.
Right, and so, you know, working in other cultures as well, it's the same. In fact, I think Thailand is probably one of the most challenging places in the world to actually train people.
That's a moment that we should pause. We'll be right back and find out more about Thai culture.